MTV Skateboarding featuring Andy MacLeod is a game I really wanted to like. I was excited to play it because it's brand new to me. I never had it around the time it came out in 2000. I saw footage of it back in the day, and it looked really authentic and realistic. How does a 540 Benihana into a one-footed Smith grind sound? Well, it sounds impossible unless the Smith grind is fakey. The trick selection is what really drew me into this game. You can do Casper flips, pressure flips, back foot flips, front foot impossibles, under flips, and a few other exotic type flip tricks like that. The animation is really good and accurate too, except the weird little run your character does when you get on your board. It looks like they accidentally motion captured Andy Mac while he was urgently shuffling to the bathroom between takes. The game is missing some of the basic tricks, like inward heel flips and varial kick flips, but I think it's a good trade-off. I remember arguing with kids in school about what tricks were worth learning in real life, and it all came down to whether it was in the Tony Hawk games. If a trick was in the game, it was official. If not, it was fake, as if skateboarding has rules. But Andy Mac has some cool stuff in it, and I think skateboarding in general would be a lot different these days if this game took off instead of Tony Hawk. But that would require the game to be any good, and it's not. The first thing you'll notice is the controls. When you release the ollie button, your skater will start the animation of bending his knees and then ollieing, which adds a handful of frames worth of delay. Doing a grind is nearly impossible until you get used to that, and you'll find it isn't really worth it anyway. You balance by using the spin buttons, which is unintuitive and leads to unnecessary bails. If you do a spin trick into a grind and hold the spin button a little bit too long, you'll bail the grind instantly. And if you're still balancing and you grind off the end of the rail, you'll spin just enough to land sideways and bail. Of course, you shouldn't be doing spin tricks anyway. They don't count on street unless you do them with a grab or a flip trick. 360 ollies are apparently so easy that they're literally worthless. There are also flatland and freestyle tricks like manuals, primo slides, and Caspers, but these are so awkward and weird that you'll never do them. To do a primo slide, you have to hit right and triangle right as you land. The timing has to be perfect, and throughout playing the whole game, I never got a feeling for it. But it's not like Tony Hawk where stringing together combos really matters anyway. They just did a bare minimum to make it work so they could write about it on the box. All this leaves are the grabs, and this game loves them. Yeah, it's got Andy MacLeod, a vert skater, on the cover, so it makes sense that it's going to be more about ramps and grabs, but it's ridiculous. The only way to get points in this game is to get as much speed as possible and do the highest grab you can, holding it and spinning the whole way. You can get 10,000 points from a crazy flip-in flip-out grind combo, or you can get 70,000 from a single grab 900, which is a whole lot easier as long as you can get into the flow of vert skating in the game. Speed is really important, which is fair from a realism standpoint. Every wall you hit, you build more and more speed. That means if you just barely pulled around a 540 this time, on your next air you'll over-rotate because you went just a little bit higher. The spin controls are really touchy too, so you can find yourself bailing over and over until you start to get a feel for it. It doesn't help that, just like in Street Skater 2, it counts the rotations wrong. About half the time it'll rob you of half a rotation. 720s will count as 540s, 900s as 720s. For being so singularly focused on vert, you'd think they'd get this right. Let's get into the career or lifestyle mode. There is a really good list of pro skaters in this game, including Rob Dyrdek. It's really cool to see him before he blew up, especially since he was already working with MTV where he later launched his media empire. So you pick out your favorite skater and no wait, you have to pick one of these generic skaters to play the career mode with. It's not really the end of the world, but it's a strange choice. The lifestyle mode is basically a series of competitions with a photo shoot thrown in from time to time. The loading screen treats you to a picture of a nice young lady and some advice about the upcoming level. Who is she supposed to be? She isn't dressed like a judge in the competition or anything. I thought maybe she was your talent agent, but it's not always the same person. She's just there for eye candy, I guess. The advice tells you what score you'll need to get in order to win the competition. This is both impossibly helpful, who can know what the other competitor's scores will be, and totally useless. There's no indication of what your current score is while you're playing, so you just get to the end of the timer and hope for the best. I know what you're thinking. Isn't the score right there on the bottom of the screen? No, those are your points, which don't really mean anything. You're also being scored on how many times you failed and the variety of tricks you did. The judges critique you at the end, but who knows how the formula actually works in the game. So what this means is that you can beat the high score and still fail a level. Or you can get fewer points than your last attempt, but still end up with a higher judge score. I guess it's less realistic to know your judge score during your run, but your friend can tell the future already anyway. Sometimes you'll get a chance to be in the newspaper during one of your competitions. No, not a local skate zine or Transworld or Thrasher, but your local newspaper. When this happens, you have to collect photographer icons throughout the level. It's kinda weak. They could have had a guy sitting there and required you to at least land a trick in front of him, but it mixes things up a little bit and it requires you to actually explore the level, which is nice. There are a ton of levels in this game, 16 in the standard lifestyle mode, and some of them are really big and interesting. But unless it's a photo shoot level, all you have to do is find a half pipe or a bowl and do grab tricks over and over until you run out of time. You'll win really easily, but it gets incredibly boring and it's a waste of time. If they balance the gameplay a little bit and fix some of the control issues, this could have been a great game. Here's a quick look at the last few levels of the game. The third to last is the hardest one. You have to collect 8 icons and navigate around this awkward skate park. Here's the strategy for beating it. Try to collect the icons as fast as you can and don't worry about score. It's going to be tough because of the aforementioned control issues, but there are a ton of icons and you only need 8 of them. When you get enough, just find this section and do the normal bird stuff. You only need about a minute to get enough points. This level is followed up by the easiest level in the game. It's just a half pipe, with no icons to collect. It would be hard to not beat this first try. To crank up the difficulty, they raise the half pipe 10 feet off the ground, so if you accidentally air out of it, you'll have to go up a ramp in order to get back. I wonder why they haven't done this in the X games yet. It wastes a little time, but it's still really easy. The last level is just a regular level like the rest of them. It starts with a cool roll-in, but that's about all that's special about it. When you beat it, you get this screen. I unlocked a character, a board, and a secret moon level. Skating the moon is kinda cool, but there isn't much going on. Lots of empty, barren space and a single half pipe. What else do you unlock? I don't know, I'm not willing to play through it again. But for the sake of thoroughness, I tried the MTV icon collecting mode. In this mode, you actually get to play as one of the pros in the game, finally. You collect MTV icons and parts of a board to unlock new decks. If you fall, you drop a couple of the icons you already got, and you have to go get them again. Just like the photo shoot levels, there are more icons than you actually need, so it isn't an impossible task. But it is impossible to find any enjoyment doing this. It's absolutely miserable. The last mode I was willing to try was the Stunt Mode, and I was shocked to find that it's actually a lot of fun. It sets you up with a series of Evel Knievel style jumps and courses that you have to do perfectly in order to continue. There's a score limit, which isn't that high, but is high enough that you have to at least give it some thought. They actually created a lot of new assets for this mode, and it's got a lot going for it. Of course, the control gets in the way of this too. A lot of times I carefully cleared all the gaps and hit the rails perfectly, then tried to do a grab trick for some points, and it just didn't count it. And I failed, even though it felt like it wasn't my fault. But the courses are very short, and it starts you over immediately when you fall, so there isn't much of a penalty when things don't go your way. Stunt Mode is a fun idea wasted on a terrible skate engine. Beating it will unlock another generic level in Skater. Speaking of the engine, you're going to run into some glitches. You can get stuck in walls, you can stop dead when you touch an obstacle, you can bail tricks in midair and then still land them. It's kind of a mess. MTV Skateboarding featuring Andy McDonald has a couple of good ideas, but it desperately needed a couple more months in the oven before release. It could have changed skateboarding forever like the Tony Hawk series did, but instead it's doomed to languish forgotten in discount bins. Have you ever played this game? What did you think? Let me know in the comments. More videos are coming soon. Thanks for watching.